Week 3 has officially wrapped up in the NFL. It is by far the weirdest NFL season, all right, after what happened this week. So let's just get right into it. The Seattle Seahawks, let's talk about the NFC West, starting off with the Seahawks, 3-0, one of the 5 remaining 3-0 teams, one of the surprise 3-0 teams. What do you make of this team? Because 3-0 means, if you're stat watching, they're going to make it to the Super Bowl. They're the top team.
Well, playoffs.
Yeah, at least the playoffs. But what I'm saying is they're a contender. But realistically, if you look at their schedule, I'm not fully convinced yet.
I mean, are we surprised at 3-0? They beat the Denver Broncos. They already freaking fleeced them before, so that makes sense. And then they beat the New England Patriots. And then they beat a team without a quarterback in the Miami Dolphins. And I'm not taking any credit away from them, but I'm just saying I'm not really surprised because they handle business. But if I were to give credit, I do give credit to Metcalf. I do give credit to Geno. Mike McDonald as well. They held that team at bay as well, the Dolphins, with all the weapons they have, and obviously the Broncos. There have been times where they weren't great in some moments, but then in some moments they just explode. And credit does go to Geno Smith as well, because he's playing like that first year Geno where he surprised everyone.
Yeah, so obviously Geno Smith is trying to get a big contract extension. I'm not saying I don't think he's eligible. He's not a free agent, but he's trying to get the big payday that every QB is getting. And he's playing like one, right? That New England game, he played very well. It still took overtime. The Seahawks in general struggled against the Broncos in the first half. Again, they took care of business. And obviously, the Miami game was just we'll talk about Miami later because I have question marks for them. You're right. At least they handled business, unlike some teams, aka the Cincinnati Bengals, right? So, but for me, I can't say anything because sometimes it's just the schedule luck and they handle business. For me, and we'll talk about this more in the next episode when we preview the next week, in this case, week 4, how are they going to be tested against the Lions? That's my test for them. Even if they lose, but they keep it very competitive, then I'm like, okay, they're in the playoff hunt for sure. That division is really we're going to talk about the division next year, is up in questions, right? Now, obviously, very quickly though, before we move off the Seahawks, what do you think is the true ceiling? What after you've seen these 3 weeks, do you buy them that they could beat the Lions, and how far can they go then for you?
Well, beat the Lions is a little bit of a stretch, but playoff hunt is definitely a conversation for these guys, and wildcard hopeful is not out of the equation at all. And right now it's looking like division winner potentially as well, but they still got 2 49er games left, and the 49ers themselves are beat up. But overall, I would say you push them up a tier, playoff hopeful, and we put them at mediocre before the season started. So you push them up a tier, playoff hopeful, wildcard chance, and I think they're in that range perfectly, and they're playing like that right now as well.
I mean, the way it's going, they're probably the division winner, but it all depends on the health, right? So let's talk about the Niners, who played the LA Rams, who looked comfortable, but choked that big lead. I forgot what the score was, but Matthew Stafford himself is, kind of banged up, playing behind a banged up old line. It's kind of looking like he's not the MVP favorite, but he could be in the MVP contendership if he continues this. But for me, the 49ers, how badly do they need, who do you think do they need back immediately for them to find their winning ways?
I don't know, because the offense looked decent. They didn't really turn the football over. I was a little bit more concerned on the defensive side in terms of how they were able to allow the Rams back into that game, but I don't think they have many defensive injuries off the top of my head. But overall, there's probably just some drives here and there that they would like to have back that they missed out on. They
missed a field goal as well.
But I think the main guy is probably George Kittle, right? The man does everything. He could catch, he could block it, and all those things. And because we're gonna see Jordan Mason pop off like he did the first 2 weeks, and blocking could be a reason. And I believe that Kittle, a guy who does everything for that offense, and may not get the shine sometimes because he might have one reception, but run blocking wise, he's up there at one of the best.
So you're going for the intangibles here a little bit.
I'm going with a guy who just does it all, because at the end of the day, that's what they really have.
I mean, the obvious answer is McCaffrey.
I don't want to give the boring answer.
Yeah,
it is Christian McCaffrey. Don't get me wrong, but when you're looking at it, McCaffrey's not the one that's going to come back. He's probably going to come back the latest, right? A calf and Achilles, you got to be careful with that. So because of that, I think Kittle, he's just a guy who does it all. Also Debo, again, another guy who does it all. But with the way that Juwan Jennings steps up, I think the biggest issue is
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a guy who's injured. I think it's a guy who got paid and didn't show up.
Yeah.
Right, and that for me is the biggest concern of Brandon Ayuk not producing?
For me, I'm looking at Brock Purdy, right? Your whole career so far, you've been told you're a system quarterback, you're this, you're that. You're not a guy that's able to win the Super Bowl unless you have all these weapons around him. Yes, he started off great. Juwan Jennings obviously was the big factor of that. Can he continue this and willpower his way to wins? At the end of the day, can you make that final drive for a touchdown, not lead to a field goal all the time as well? Like, obviously, it's not his fault that the field goal got missed late in that game before the Rams made that one big play and all that. But no, for me, it's I'm looking at Brock Purdy just to see if he wants to be in that discussion of getting the 50 million plus a year. Because right now, the 50 million plus a year list is horrible almost.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Definitely horrible.
So, the Rams, though, how is this just a one-off for you? Because they got shellacked by the Cardinals, and we're writing them off. And then
Yeah, so the thing with the Cardinals game is like the injuries happened in that game.
Yeah.
Right? So it kind of already made sense. Then, like, whereas this week, they were able to game plan without, like, you have a beat-up O-line. You don't have Puka. You don't have Cooper. Right? What are you going to do? And they were able to, like, prepare for that. McAvey and Stafford were
He had the week
prepare.
to prep.
He had the week to prep. And I feel like at the end of the day, just find a way to keep Stafford upright and he'll make plays. And that's what he did. And overall, yes, I know you're missing a number 1 and 2 wide receivers, but DeMarcus Robinson and Tutu Atwell stepped up. And I think they could get the job done at the hold the fort a little bit. Schedule-wise, I just don't know just the offensive line. I just don't know, because Stafford's not a guy who's going to escape, right? Like, he's freaking 36 years old and slow. But overall, like, if you just give that guy time, he'll make a play. And that's what kind of really happened. And the Niners didn't get much pressure, and Stafford was able to make plays.
Let's move on to a different division here. The NFC North has gotten interesting, and not in the way you think. Minnesota Vikings, we got to start it off with the 3-0 team, beating the Niners, and then beating the Houston Texans, who are both Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, so the Minnesota Vikings, biggest surprise undefeated team, but right now look like the most tested undefeated team, in my opinion.
Exactly. See, that's why for me, the Seahawks, I'm like, they didn't really get tested. The Steelers, who we'll get into later, I still love their defense, weren't tested like this Niners team. And I'm going to let you take the floor of this, and let's start off with Brian Flores.
Yeah, Brian Flores is a guy who I really wanted after he got let go in Miami as a defensive coordinator. And he spent a year as a defensive assistant in Pittsburgh and got a DC job in Minnesota. One of their biggest defenses in Minnesota is one of the weaknesses in Minnesota is their defense.
And they lost Daniel Hunter this offseason.
And they lost Daniel Hunter. But last year, this defense did, they weren't amazing, but, they were a much improved defense from a year before, and they didn't make many upgrades, right? And that was all Brian Flores. This year, he somehow found a way to take another step. Losing Daniel Hunter, obviously replacing him with Jonathan Grenard. But overall, you're the only defense, a Brian Flores-led defense, is the only defense that made CJ Stroud look uncomfortable.
I was about to bring that. Yeah, I was about to say that.
I haven't seen CJ Stroud ever be uncomfortable in an NFL game.
There were some plays CJ Stroud made, to be fair, and his defense just didn't catch it, or the receivers didn't catch it, or something happened there. But no, you're right. Because the Niners, they held 17. It was after that game those injuries came up, right? 7 points for CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, who we deem to be the biggest challenger to the Chiefs. Stay tuned, because they're a little different now for us. Yeah, you obviously everything you said was perfectly right from the beginning of the year during the season so far with Brian Flores. However, I need to talk about my guy for a little bit here. The guy who I didn't jump off the bandwagon yet in Sam Darnold, because like I said in the week 1 overreactions, I'm not saying he's a quarterback you could win a Super Bowl with, but he could get you wins, right? He'll get you to the playoffs as long as he's in the right system. Perfect definition of a system quarterback, and he has the weapons. Keep in mind, when he was with the Jets, he had Adam Gase.
He had nothing.
Horrible.
He had no
weapons.
Zero.
Not the greatest line ever,
No.
right? Then he moves to the Carolina Panthers.
Pretty garbage.
Listen, no, the first 3 weeks he was undefeated. He was like the Seahawks. He was 3-0. The minute Christian McCaffrey goes down, he went downhill as well. Then he goes to the San Francisco 49ers. He sat back, learned a lot from Kyle Shanahan and the people there. I like the signing for both Minnesota and him. I know they were going to take J.J. McCarthy, and he has Jay Jettas playing for them right now, and he's balling. Yes, there might be a little injury concern, but he didn't look like it on the weekend, that's for sure.
I think more injury
And
concerns
Jordan
than-
Addison's out, and he's doing this.
He has a more injury concern right now.
Exactly, right? So
And on
Sam
top of
Darnold
that,
is showing that, like, listen, if you're going to stick with
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy next year, he might find himself like a Raiders-type job from
but
next year. as well.
that's the issue, right?
It's like Gardner Minshew, I guess.
Yeah, but that's the issue. This is the only thing that works for Sam Darnold.
But as of
You
right
have-
now, it works.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know, but like this is the only thing that works.
Yeah.
Right? Baker found a situation in Tampa. It works. Him and Baker are like very similar. Sam Darnold was written off because, again, he very great backup, right? That's why the Niners picked him up. Right? The Panthers had a chance, took a chance on him. Obviously that failed, but I blame a lot of Panthers because like look what they're doing right now. And Jets, I don't 100% blame Sam Darnold on that one either. But the thing is this, right? Like you have these quarterbacks that just need to be in the right situation, right? And right now Minnesota is the perfect situation when you have all those weapons, plus another one coming back in like probably another month, and TJ Hawkinson as well.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones is doing his thing. Their line is good. The issue with Sam Darnold is that he's gotta make sure that he's on this Minnesota Vikings team next year, and no other team, unless there's another team that has this very good situation, like how the Vikings said, right? He's gotta. This is his year, and he's gonna prove it that like this is his team.
That he could be a starting quarterback in the NFL
Yeah, no,
next year.
he's proven that.
Yeah.
He's proven that. But the issue is,
Listen, to
you
be
go
fair,
anywhere else, I'm not buying it. The only reason why I had little hope is like what you said. You have Justin Jefferson. You have Aaron Jones. You have Jordan Addison. You're going to have TJ Hawkinson. You have a great play caller and a great head coach. The thing is that we've seen him when he didn't have a great head coach or great weapons. Not every team's like that.
yeah, no, for
He's
sure.
just got to make sure
But-
he just somehow stays on his Vikings team. That's all you got to do.
But right now, he's just proven he has
Right now, he's top 3 MVP.
you went that far with it.
Right now, after the first 3 weeks. Like, why not? Why has he shown you not that he can...
He's in
He's in MVP conversation. 4 touchdown performance at like 300 yards.
fair
Against
that's
a
fine.
solid-
I wasn't gonna go that far, but
I'm not right now.
I mean, it is overreactions, and you're right,
Yeah,
right?
like,
At the end of the day, listen, we know Sam Darnold can make those boneheaded plays. It's been 3 weeks.
He didn't make one.
Let's see if he continues this run. But I do want to ask you this before we move on to the Packers, because we have to talk about them. They are facing the Packers. We'll preview that matchup in their next episode. But do you think this is sustainable for the Vikings, though?
Yes, as long as Darnold doesn't make those boneheaded plays.
What's the ceiling?
turnover
Like, is it the same as Seattle? Wildcard is now in contention for them?
100%.
We've written them off at the beginning of the year. Keep that in
We
mind.
like put him at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, like I mean, like they basically replaced the Bears. Simple as that. Right? We put Bears as a wild card hopeful. Just switched them too. Put Bears
They
at
were ahead of the Packers
put the-
before the Packers did what they did without
put the
Jordan
Bears
Love.
Put the Bears back where they belong, which is the same old Bears, and put the Vikings in there. That's all I'm gonna say, right? Like
Okay. So let's wrap it up here with the Packers. Malik Willis, was it Tennessee the problem, or is he just with the right guy at the moment? Keep it going.
Yeah, right guy. Right? Like
Matt LaFleur.
after Arthur Smith, Tennessee didn't really have great play callers, right? And now you come to Matt LaFleur, even like in a couple weeks you learn the system, and like obviously, like the indie game was more so like
The run
game,
Let's be
right?
fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but
He made some plays that he needed to, though,
Yeah.
to be fair.
but overall, like against the Titans, he got
Who was the number one defense coming into
Yeah.
this week?
against a really good defense. He had a proper revenge game, which is pretty impressive. And in terms of like how he was able to push the ball downfield, able to rush himself, and Jacobs wasn't really that big of a factor in this game, like how he was.
He
in
wasn't,
week two.
yeah.
So yeah, it was an impressive performance by Malik Willis. Again, finding the right guys is very important, right?
That
Like
Minnesota matchup will be a fun one to see, just to see what's gonna happen, right? But let's move on to the AFC North, because that one there's a lot of things. Steelers, we'll go a little bit more rapid fire here because we still have another couple of teams to go here. The Pittsburgh Steelers, a similar schedule to the Seahawks. Yes, a good win in my opinion against the Atlanta Falcons. However, they were losing until Justin Herbert got hurt. Not saying they would have not came back and won, but Justin Fields, his best game as a Steeler for sure, maybe in his career so far. And of course, you have TJ Watt.
Here's the thing, like when you're comparing the Steelers and the Seahawks, the Steelers defense clears, but the Seahawks offense clears. Again, very similar. They handle business. They did what they're supposed to do. And again, I'm really impressed by Justin Fields, how he's just able to come in there and provide some sort of stability. Right, he hasn't made any stupid mistakes and was able to make some plays here and there himself in terms of either passing or rushing. And overall, I just think that, like, again, good situation, right head coach. It's kind of been a theme of this year, right? And the Minnesota Vikings have that. The Pittsburgh Steelers have that in terms of, like, as a whole team and not an offense. And it's been working, I guess. Like, a lot of, I wouldn't say, again, not necessarily surprising, right? We know that Steelers are a good team. It's just that, like, this offense was really questionable. And I personally thought if Russell Wilson is a starter, I don't think they'll be 3-0 right now, in my opinion. And I think they've done a really good job in terms
Arthur
of
Smith showing that he's a good OC and a
he is a
terrible
good
head
OC,
coach.
yeah. Arthur Smith, yeah. I totally forgot he was there again.
Yeah.
And he is a solid OC, not a great head coach.
So, okay, my question is moving on to the other teams here. Do you believe that they're the division favorite still after 3 weeks? Or the Ravens can't hold leads, and they almost blew one on the weekend against the Cowboys. The Bengals are 0-3, and the Browns are the Browns at the moment, led by Deshaun Watson. How would you go about that right now?
Right now, yes, because every other team has a losing record, which is...
Do you feel like the Ravens, like let's talk about the Ravens, do you think they will bounce back even more? Big game against the Buffalo Bills as well, though.
Yeah,
they have the tougher schedule.
I mean, they should be able to bounce back. They should be able to make some ground here and there.
They play each other twice as well.
They do play each other twice, but usually that ends up in a 1-1 record as well. The Ravens picking up a win and the Steelers picking up a win. But overall, I just think, like, it's just mistake-free football, clean football that the Steelers are playing right now. They're not hurting themselves, which is usually what the quarterbacks did last couple of years after Ben Roethlisberger. They usually hurt themselves. And with Fields, they're not doing that right now, and you still have the extra infields in terms of him being dynamic and able to make, those explosive plays as well. But right now, I think it's just a good system. The only thing I think that right now is that could hurt the Steelers is either if Fields start making those stupid plays, like how he sometimes does, and injuries. Those are the only two things I could see slowing down the Steelers right now, especially the defense.
Yeah, no, I mean, right now you got to give them, like, the way their defense is especially rolling. You got to give them the division for now. Especially Ravens have question marks on defense clearly at the moment. But the Bengals, very quickly, just a simple answer: do you have hope for them? Because they lost 2 games they should have won. They have an easier schedule, but they are 0-3. And you are saying, like, they usually start off slow, but 0-3 since 2019.
Oh yeah, they haven't really started off 0-3. They usually start off 0-2, but not 0-3. And yeah, hope, yes, right? Because we
still talented.
We saw the Burrow and Chase connection kind of in that game as well. But I lost my respect for the Bengals. They just keep talking, and
they're hanging on to that Super Bowl appearance. They don't even win it.
The amount of shit this team talks, and don't even back it up is actually incredible. Especially Cam Taylor-Britt. Yes, he had that one good interception, but Rashee Rice did cook you for a touchdown. And Terry McLaurin and Jayden Daniels picked you apart again. So, all talk right now. I have no respect for the Bengals. Do I have hope? Yes. But they're going to have to figure this shit out quickly. And I think one good step is that stop shit-talking the other team before the media.
It's kind of like what Pittsburgh did with Juju dancing the thing and Chase.
But at least with that one is Pittsburgh were 11-0.
Yeah, but then it went downhill.
Yeah, no, it did went downhill when he started, right? But he started like halfway. Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Dude didn't start with like, I don't know how you're 0-2, 0-3 talking this much shit. It just makes zero sense to me.
All right, let's move on. You mentioned his name. We got to talk about it. Jayden Daniels, obviously officially, as of week 3, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Back-to-back games where they had 0 punts and 0 turnovers. Play calling by Cliff Kingsbury, gutsy, but he trusted his young quarterback. As of right now, obviously, I'm not saying do a redraft. Compared to Caleb Williams, it's not like CJ Stroud and Bryce Young from last year at least, but have the Bears made a mistake once again at quarterback?
I don't think they
overreaction, obviously.
I don't think they necessarily made a mistake.
Still time, lots of
time.
Yeah.
And the Bears got to look at themselves a little bit in terms of improving that line.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing from Caleb Williams a lot is that he tends to hold the ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Long. And that's also obviously. I mean, you should have the people to get open. I know Keenan Allen's injured, but you still should have the people like Komet, Moore, Ndunze, who got his first touchdown. I don't know, keeps on game ball for that one because for Caleb Williams' first passing touchdown as well. But yeah, that's probably one big negative, and I feel like that's hurting Caleb Williams right now is that he's holding the ball on for too long. And in terms of Jayden Daniels, is I think his experience, because I think he's spent 5 years in college all as a starter. He got like I think many games. Yeah, he's a Heisman winner. He has many games. He has a dual threat ability.
I think that's where it helps him more to Caleb Williams. He's more like that running quarterback. I'm not saying pure running. I'm saying like
he knows in his mind, like,
Yeah.
you know, when play is broken, but I need a first down. He knows that he could go and grab it,
yeah.
go and get the first down. And he's able to push the ball downfield, which he did well to Terry McLaurin, and
That's where I'm excited for Washington now. If they could get that duo unlocked, because McLaurin the first week and a half was quiet, especially.
Yeah.
Even this game, he was relatively quiet. He made the two big plays, the biggest one being that touchdown late to seal
Like
it.
4 receptions.
But I'm excited if they could get if Cliff, obviously I know what you're gonna say. Cliff always does this in the first half, not the second half. To my counter, he has less. As I said in the preview of the beginning of the year, he has less responsibility. He's just more focused on the offense. If they get this consistent duo going, this team, honestly, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys right now, can make a little jump, because if the Cowboys defense with Mike Zimmer hasn't been the greatest. The week 1 seemed like it's an anomaly.
Well, you played Deshaun Watson.
Slow start.
You played a shitty quarterback.
Slow start against the Ravens. Obviously did not play well against the Saints. If they lose to the Giants, is McCarthy and Zimmer both gone? Because Dak got paid. You're not firing Dak at this point.
Getting rid of Dak, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't lose to the Giants. You just.
Dak's got a big win, though.
I know they got a big win.
Had a game's off. Speaking of rookies, he had himself.
Yeah, he himself a big game too. Back-to-back weeks as well. He had a big game.
Yeah.
You just can't lose to the Giants, bro. That just shows that like your season probably might be in the mud.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you lose to the Giants, and especially when you play them twice, you're gonna beat up on the Giants. You're gonna beat up on the Commanders, even though the Commanders are looking good. But as a Dallas Cowboy, you know, you gotta look at yourself again. I've been seeing a lot of finger pointing is the best way to describe it. But overall, like, I don't know what they're doing over there, but it's just not looking good. And the thing is this, like, yeah, if you lose to the Saints in a close fashion, whatever, you know, Saints are a good team, right? If you lose to the Ravens in close, which it technically did, but let's be honest, it was just too little too late. Yeah, whatever, you can still have the respect, right? But, like, the alarm bells are ringing because you're being down like 40, you're losing 40-19. You're down 28-6 in the fourth quarter. Like, what are we supposed to expect from you? Because this is not the Dallas Cowboys.
That was more Ravens than Cowboys, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, like, Ravens messed up themselves, honestly. Like, I just don't understand what's going on. And I do understand. They're just so dysfunctional as hell because they didn't freaking make a single move. They have no run game. They have no run defense. You can't run the ball. You're already putting yourselves behind, in my opinion.
Their biggest loss was Dan Quinn. This is right. It's clear he's in the division as well. So we'll talk about them more in the preview. We got to very quickly talk about the Eagles-Saints game because the Saints were that team all the way at the top. Defense-heavy game, 3-0 heading into the fourth quarter. Big. I think that was a bad loss more on the Saints than. I mean, the Eagles found a way to grit it out. They got their defense to step up when they needed to step up.
That was the biggest thing.
That was the biggest thing for me. But like, if you're the Saints, you took that. Listen, I'll talk about Nick. I already had a Nick Sirianni rant last time. You could check that out. I might have another one next episode when we talk about him again. But for now, you can't lose that game when Sirianni gifted you field position. You get that touchdown and you let Saquon or Dallas guard it. Right. Sole reason why I won my fantasy this week. Go off for that much. Like go that crazy for you, and then it's Saquon as well, especially when Devontae Smith was out with AJ Brown.
Yeah, let's put it this way, right? Saquon put on an OPE performance, and he has been putting on OPE performances so far in this young NFL season. That's the reason why you're in this situation, and you are 2-1. And again, a lot of poor decision making, a lot of turnover football from Jalen Hurts, not clean defensively and coaching staff wise as well. But again, they just found a way to get the job done. Like you said, not very convincing last year when they were 10-0. Again, not very convincing this year as well. It's just not clean. And that, on my opinion, does fall on the head coach as the biggest responsibility. And like you said, we don't know what he really does. But sometimes this guy's decision makings has put these guys in a further hole that they need to be in. But they somehow, like, again, they have these individuals that just put them out the fire, basically, dig them out these holes. And again, like you said, in week 3, it was Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley.
Quick, yes or no? Is this a blip for the Saints? Because Derek Carr did underperform this time compared to the first 2 weeks.
I would go with yes. Right? You're coming off such a high.
You have the big win against the Cowboys, who were a playoff contender. and you got kind of a, in my opinion, it is a bad loss compared to what you did against the Cowboys as well.
Yeah, it just terms of like it was just this is just something lacked in terms of like other play call. Like they found a way to get Chris Olave involved a little bit more,
Which is good.
But then I don't know what they just took a step back on the run game. Was it as
And credit to the Eagles defense as well.
credit to the Eagles defense, right? Like I was like expecting Alvin Kamara to cook this week because of what they did to it, what they allowed Bijan and Algier to do prior. But again, I just felt like, they haven't gotten two things going, right? They haven't gotten Chris Olave and this run game going, right? It's either been one or the other. And I feel like if they want to get both, it should be fine. Again, another thing is they also took away the deep ball, which is very effective. And that's Rashid Shaheed, the deep threat, was as effective in week 3 as well, which the Eagles did well. So there were just some segments of this offense where like one just worked really well, but the other like wasn't working, but it didn't matter because that one was working really well. In terms of the Eagles game, like Chris Olave worked well, but it wasn't like up here that like kind of eliminated the other things that weren't working well, which was the run game and the other aspects of the pass game.
All right, let's move on. Let's go quick here. I just want a simple yes or no. The Bills are the biggest threat to the Chiefs. True or false?
I mean, yes.
True.
Like,
yeah.
Like
it will change week to week, but
it's not even that
or the
because
Texans just a blip for you.
the Texans are a blip. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the thing with the Bills is that like we can't really say yes because the Bills been losing to the Chiefs. So like, are they really the biggest?
Well, okay, as of right now.
Yeah, like as of right now, I would have to go with yes because
They've always been the biggest threat.
Yeah,
Let's just be real.
this is the best Josh Allen we've seen.
Yeah.
Like,
MVP, right? For you?
MVP right now. He's the MVP frontrunner. There's no debates about that.
Yeah.
And Joe Brady's cooking. That's for sure. James Cook
Without the weapons and all that.
and
Yeah.
they found a way to just. They don't have the weapons, but they found a way to use each and every one. Right? They use Coleman got his first touchdown. They finally got Kincaid going in his 3rd week. They're obviously Shakir's been their best receiver so far, and in the meantime, they allow Josh Allen to be Josh Allen in terms of make those Superman plays, but in a condensed version of it. Right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to be like
Week 1 was a little bit more Superman for sure, and we were concerned.
Yeah,
But then it got better as the week.
Then James Cook started cooking as well.
Yeah.
So like they have just every aspect of this offense firing in terms of like they don't have to fully rely on Josh Allen, but when they do and he needs to call his own number, he's done it in a good way in terms of not harming his own team, right? And that was the biggest issue last year. Yes, he made these Superman plays, it was incredible, but he also found a way to harm his team so many times, which is with turnovers and fumbles and interceptions. He hasn't done that this year, and they've been playing clean offensively and defensively with having a few injuries on the defensive side of football, and a lot of credit does go to the coaching staff and McDermott as well for that.
And Miami Dolphins, let's just go quickly here.
You're finished.
Yeah. Do they need to go out, maybe trade for Joe Flacco? I know you said Ryan Tannehill, but let's just say they want to get someone that played last year. Joe Flacco, and right now the way Fields is playing, Russell Wilson. Can those guys come in and save them and fight in the... So maybe you saw what Joe Flacco did last year.
Yeah, we did. But here's the thing with the Dolphins, and this falls on Mike McDaniel. How can you not find a way to like incorporate Tyreek Hill and Jayden?
Yeah. So to your point, I'm gonna bounce off that point very quickly.
Yeah, like
we talked about the Rams and the Rams and so McVay and Shanahan earlier. Yes, Shanahan choked a lead again late, but my point is they still found a way to get guys like Johan Jennings, Tutu Atwell, and all these guys going, right?
You have Tyreek Hill.
Exactly, right? Like, how do you not find a game? Like, and he had a week. It wasn't like Tua got hurt in the middle of the game this time.
You had more than a week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So, for me, Tyler. Let's see what Tyler Huntley does. Maybe he rejuvenates himself from the Baltimore Ravens, the Pro Bowl days. But for me, I think the Dolphins, if Tyler Huntley's not the answer, maybe go try Han and Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
you might have to at this point. Like, who else would you trust, really? Right?
Tannehill, Flacco, I guess. Yeah.
Lastly, we got to close it on this because Andy Dalton cooked, which means the overreaction question of the day for me is Bryce Young officially done in Carolina, or was this keep in mind, they beat a good defense.
Yeah.
And Antonio Pierce was pissed at the effort, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But they beat a very good defense. And he was throwing dimes like he was in his Cincy days.
Yeah, so Andy Dalton, again, turned back the clock, which is absolutely incredible. But I don't necessarily think that the Bryce Young done in Carolina is an overreaction anymore, because people are already calling for trades for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Right? Which actually rightfully so. Do your due diligence. You
For sure.
you bench the
The
quarterback.
reports are that he will be back this season at one point.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like I fully believe that.
Because you wanted him to sit down and relax and see.
Yeah, like,
but I feel like this performance is like, damn.
and like, let's be honest. Do we expect Andy Dalton to throw for 300 yards again next week? I don't. I'll be honest with you. Like, who knows? Don't be wrong. Who knows? But being realistic.
Hey, maybe he might be in for the Dolphins job.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. But being realistic, I don't think Andy Dalton's throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns
Yeah.
next week. I don't even know who they play next week.
They're playing Cincy, so that's big.
Yeah.
So that's on Cincy as well. So you don't
Oh,
be
yeah.
surprised. Don't be surprised.
It's Cincy,
Keep
yeah.
in mind, this was my upset team to watch out for.
Yeah.
I said that for this team too. So
But
and
overall, like, what are you talking about? Like, it's not even that because we saw other aspects of his offense shine, right? Like, they finally got Deontay Johnson going.
but Adam Thielen is
Right.
now on the IR.
Honestly, Adam Thielen being injured.
Sick catch,
hurt.
but got hurt. Yeah.
But like they got other aspects of his offense going, and the biggest one was for me Deontay Johnson because I feel like that should be Bryce's favorite target, and him not getting that much production or targets, I don't know what it was going on. It kind of like concerned me, and in terms of like you kind of got a little bit of help, a little bit more than last year. You got a guy again, he's not a number one wide receiver, but like a solid wide receiver, and you're gonna still not be able to do anything.
I do want to say.
And then Andy Dalton comes in and does that.
I do want to say this though. One, he's not helping the people that are similar to his size to get a job in the NFL next year because
Yes.
he was a first overall pick, and clearly it shows that the size might be a factor. But two, I still wholeheartedly believe, like Justin Fields, he's been done dirty, as well.
Yes.
By mainly by his ownership, right? But as of right now, will I say he's done in Carolina? I want to say I'm not gonna overreact and say no, because to your point, will Andy Dalton do this? However, if there's still like the one or top 2 pick coming in April, you might have to consider to move it on from him, give him a backup role like the LA Rams, for example. It might be a perfect spot for him as long as Sean McVay is still coaching there, just to make that as a caveat, because there's rumors he wants to go to the broadcast booth and get paid. But as of right now, it's not. You're right. It might not be an overreaction. His time might be done, especially with what CJ Stroud's been doing, minus last week. Obviously, Anthony Richardson needs to figure out certain things, and Will Levis needs to figure out certain things. But they've still somewhat performed better.
Yeah.
They've showed flashes of something.
Flashes of promise.
Bryce Young has shown certain flashes, but not to the consistency as you would think. But let's wrap it up there. Definitely a little bit longer one because there's NFL season is weird at the moment, and there's a lot of different stuff going on. But make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, hit the post notification bell, because Week 4 preview will be out as always on the Friday as well. 2 videos will be popping up. Make sure you guys click them and watch them as well. Follow our socials link down below, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.